Hello everyone, back to today's video. Going to have a look at the weather for next week's 10 days in today's video. This of course is going to take us into the start of July, and big changes on the way. We've had the heat wave of course over the past few days. Summer's really been unleashed, but the heat wave is gone, it's over, and now we're actually going into a very unsettled, dare I say it, even a tad autumnal type pattern as we go through into next week. So I'm going to show you what's happening in a moment, but the charts, if you've got any plans for next week inside of July, the charts do look a little bit on the grim side this morning, I have to say. We'll start off with the heat wave though, because this is the tweet from the UK Met Office that confirmed we did have our hottest June day since 1976. The temperature at Heathrow reached 34.5 degrees Celsius. So rounded up to 35 degrees Celsius, and we haven't had temperatures that high in the UK in June since the long hot summer of 76. Now, we're not going to see a repeat of the summer of 1976 because that summer just ran and ran and ran. Hardly got any rain until the end of, until the end of August. We're not going to have that for this summer, I can tell you that, because it is going to turn a lot more unsettled through the course of next week. But the weather doing something surprising again and giving us our hottest June day for 41 years. Quite remarkable. That. As I say, the weather has changed now. We're in a different air mass. We've had some thunderstorms, although really the thundery breakdown has been very disappointing. I think we've been quite unlucky because just in the North Sea overnight things really developed in terms of thunderstorms. So I have been a bit unlucky with this, but there has been a few thunderstorms across eastern England through the course of this morning. This is a radar picture from the weatheroutlook.com. You can see some quite vibrant colours here just left in the far southeast. If you have a look at the light detector and take away the rain, you can see that there has been a lot of lightning down across the southeast this morning as the cold front interacts with the hot and humid air. But that cold front is pushing away the hot and humid air. So behind those thunderstorms, it's a very different, cooler and fresher air mass. Now, I have got another area of showery rain here across northern England and down into North Wales. That one will also be pushing southeastwards, and it might pep up a little bit through the course of this afternoon, but I certainly would be expecting widespread thunderstorms through the course of this afternoon. Now, this heat wave has really driven up the central England temperature, so we are going to have another significantly warmer than average month. Whatever happens, I think we're going to be coming in at least a degree above average. CET for June 2017 provisionally stands at 16.5 degrees, an anomaly of 2.5 degrees above average. That is provisional to yesterday, the 21st. Now, this is probably about the high point for the month. I don't think it'll go any higher than this. It's probably going to drop downwards during the final week or so of the month. But I don't think it'll drop down enough to prevent another warmer than average month. So I think we'll be coming in somewhere around a degree, perhaps 1.5 degrees above average when it's all said and done. Yet another warmer than average month in this very, very warm year, or very warm year so far. But big changes are on the way, so let's have a look at the 500 millibar height anomaly flowchart for the next week to 10 days. We've got the ECMDF here on the top, and the GFS, which we'll have a look at in a moment, is on the bottom. 500 millibars, 80,000 feet is an area in the absolute high pressure. Low pressure are being drowned by a jet stream running above. Blue extrapolates to high pressure, and red and orange extrapolates to low pressure. And red and orange extrapolates to high pressure. I've only been using these charts for 5 years, so I can't be expected to know what the colours mean. But we find that for the next week, 10 days, we've got a trough of low pressure centred over the top of the UK with the east end of the earth. But black lines are indicating a jet stream, and they're going quite a way to the south of us. That really does look very, very unsettling deep. That's a deep trough that's parking itself right over the top of the UK and Western Europe, and around that trough the air is going to be quite cool. It's coming in from the northern part of the Atlantic Ocean. So cool and very unsettled signal there from the ECMWF for the next week to 10 days. And the GFS is very similar as well. Again, the trough is centred over the top of the UK and Western Europe. We're sending the jet stream southwards like that. So not only is it unsettled, it's also cool as well. The ridge is pulling out into the middle part of the Atlantic Ocean. So that's not doing us any favours at all. And that just looks, dare I say, a tad autumnal, really. That's going to be very unsettled. There'll be quite a bit of rain coming in with that. And the temperatures are going to be really on the cool side too. So we see this shown up by the GFS temperature and precipitation ensembles next couple of weeks. The red line here is the 30-year temperature average. So right now, still got the heat wave just about clinging on to very far southeast, but the temperatures are downhill all the way. By the weekend, and start of next week, we're going down to around average. And then for the start of July, which is this period just here, actually going cooler than average. Just perhaps a few hints there, right at the very end of the ensemble, which is sort of going into the second week of July. Right at the very end, we might be starting to see a recovery of the temperatures and something warmer beginning to develop. That's a very long way off. It's right at the extended range of the GFS ensembles. They wouldn't be taking that too seriously at all. So we've got some showery rain coming up today. That's that little rainfall spike just there. Maybe a bit more over the weekend. But the really unsettled weather actually sets in next week when it does look really quite wet for many parts of the country through the closing days of July, closing days of June, and into the start of July. Temperature anomalies for next week. This taking us from the 26th of June to the 30th. They're coming out a little bit cooler than average. So yes, we are cooling down now. No sign of a return to those hot temperatures. Precipitation anomaly for the next week. That is also coming out wetter than average. So cooler and wet sums it up for the final week of June. Back essentially to where we started at the beginning of the month. So here's the GFS then for Monday, and low pressure is heading in from off the Atlantic Ocean, and then that low pressure as a trough within the 500 millibar flow is setting itself up right over the top of the country, bringing showers along with spells of rain through to the middle part of next week. That looks very unsettled indeed, with that low pressure right in over the top of the UK. The low pressure sticks around into the second half of next week, and as it pulls eastwards, it begins to pull down these very cool northerly winds. So I think we will be ending June. This is the final day of June. I think we will be ending June on really quite a cool and unsettled note. More low pressure heading in off the Atlantic for Saturday, the 1st of July. And then that low pressure is clearing away to the east and turning winds to the north on Sunday the 2nd. So the first weekend of July is being signalled to be really very poor, cool and unsettled with quite a bit of rain. The ECMWF finally, that's very similar. So low pressure is taking over pattern on Monday, and then we've got low pressure centering over top of the country through into Tuesday, bringing no doubt showers or longer spells of rain. Through into the middle part of the week, it looks like it's staying unsettled. Low pressure very close to the country, at least producing showers, possibly some longer spells of rain too. And then running up to the closing days of June and the start of July, it just looks really unsettled. Low pressure pushes over to the east of us and we turn the winds into the north. So not only is that unsettled, it's also pretty cool as well as we're going into the first weekend of July. Let's have a look at the upper air temperatures. And they're pretty disappointing there with the ECM. You have to say. Probably no better than upper teens or low 20s. Celsius. Of course, we will be closing in on the beginning of the Wimbledon fortnight there at the beginning of July. It looks like it could be getting off to a pretty unsettled start for that. So, quite how long this is going to run on for, of course, that's going to be the next question to answer. We'll know a little bit more with JMA Friday tomorrow whether there's a return to high pressure as we go further on into July, or whether this unsettled pattern is going to be in for some time. We'll know a little bit more about that tomorrow. But that's how it's looking for today's video anyway. The heat wave is gone, it's cooling down, and the trend through next week is increasingly wet and cool for the end of June. Right, that's all for now. Later on, talking of a JMA, later on we're going to have a free monthly update from the Japanese market, because it has updated for July, August and September. So I'll have a little bit of a longer range look ahead for you this afternoon with the JMA. That's all for now. Thanks for watching.